Welcome everyone. It is now week 2 of our spring knit along. We're calling it Tea Time Knit Along because it is all about t-shirt style knitting patterns. And the collection is growing. And happy Good Friday to everyone. I hope you're making some progress on your knit along projects. So just a quick recap of how we started. We have 3 different designs that all the knitters were able to choose from, and it's never too late to join. This is Stromboli. This is the first choice, and it is designed by Caitlin Hunter. And it is knit on 3.25 millimeter needles, or the equivalent to give you gauge. And size range is 44 inch to 73 inch across the width. It's worked bottom up, completely seamless, and fingering weight yarn is recommended. I'll mention the yarns in a moment. And then project number 2 is called WILLA over here, that beautiful vibrant red. This is worked from the top down, completely seamless on a 4.5 and a 5 millimeter. It's a design by Annie House from This Bird Knits. She's a UK designer, and it will fit size-wise from 45 inches, which is this sample, across the underarms to 59.5 inches. And this is requiring a DK to worsted weight yarn. And the third choice over here, almost completed, is called Parasol Tee. It's designed by Heidi K from Alberta, Canada, and it is worked top down, 3.5 millimeter needles, completely seamless. Sizing ranges from 31 to 69 inches circumference, and it's worked in a DK weight cotton. So those are the 3 choices. Stromboli is on my needles. I'll give you a close-up of that one. And I may have it done for week 3. So the yarns that we've been able to choose from, for Stromboli, because it is a fingering weight, we have chosen a merino blend. And this is very springy, lightweight, perfect for spring and summer. There's no heat because, as you know, merino is very absorbent and it adjusts to whatever the temperature of the climate. So these are 100-gram skeins, hand dyed. We have Allegria by Manos, and then we have our own house brand called Fino. These are all solid to tonal shades, which is recommended for Stromboli because of the pattern work. You don't want any yarns that distract from the lace work. And then for the WILLA Tee in the red, we've chosen a beautiful mix of linen, cotton, and bamboo. It has a tiny slub to it, which creates a nice texture. And very cool, comfortable, breathable, lovely drape, 50-gram balls. And then the third yarn that we've been choosing from for the Parasol Tee is the DK weight Egyptian cotton. We call it Cotton Delight. These are 50-gram balls, and it's a great way to play with colors and mix to get some color blocking, which is not too stripy. It's just enough on the edges, on the shoulders, just where you want it to be. So those are the yarns. And I will give you a few tips today on each of the projects. And I also want to welcome our new knit-alongers who've joined. We have Lorna, Anna, Audrey, Leanne, and Jan. So they are playing catch-up this weekend. There are there's no rules about when to complete your knit-along project. Just take your time. It's all about the process, not the progress. So let's start with Stromboli. So this one, the designer is recommending a loose cast on, not too loose, just a looser cast on so that you have some stretch at the bottom. I chose a long tail cast on, and that's quite elastic, quite stretchy. But if you are a tight knitter, remember to try the German twisted cast on. We've put the links in the event page to both of the cast on methods in case you have not tried either of those. I chose to do a twisted rib. She is suggesting a Knit One Purl One regular rib. I like the twisted rib because it gives a bit more of a pronounced edge. But I do have to be careful that it's not too tight. So what I did is I upped my size of needle for the ribbing, and I'm doing the same size of needle for the ribbing and the body. I'm on a 3.25 all the way through. So I know that the ribbing will have lots of stretch after. And she's requiring a 1.5-inch ribbing, which I've stayed with. If you want a longer ribbing, it's up to you. You could do 2 inches, or you could even do a shorter ribbing. And the design work, I'm into the 3rd repeat of the pattern, and it's really showing up very nicely now. I'm going to give you a demonstration of what we call the breaker stitch pattern. That's the in-between pattern stitch between the chevron lace panel. So this is called the knot stitch. She does give you a link to a YouTube video, but it's always nice to see a demonstration. And since I'm here, I might as well show it to you. So in the pattern, she has suggested 8 repeats of the pattern up to the underarm, where you would divide and work back and forth until we get to the neck and the shoulders. And that will make probably a shorter garment than most of you would like. So by all means, you can add more repeats of the pattern. You could do 9 or 10 repeats. Use your perfect points measuring system from last week to determine the final length that you want for your tee and how long you need for the underarm shaping. Once you have finished working back and forth on the top yoke section, which continues the same pattern as below, then you're going to join the shoulders and pick up stitches for the sleeves. That means around the underarm, work in the round, and there you can decide what length you want. You might just want a little cap sleeve, which would be just a couple inches of ribbing to match the bottom border, or you might want the t-shirt length sleeve or an elbow length sleeve. There are lots of ways you can personalize that. And so I better show you before I forget how to do the knot stitch. It's a fun stitch. It looks a bit like a lace cable, but there are no cable needles required. And it is only worked, I think, every 4th row or 4th round in the pattern, according to the chart. So the knot stitch is worked over 3 stitches, and they're bordered by a purl stitch on each side. So you're just going to bypass stitch number 1 and 2, grab stitch number 3, pull it back over stitch number 1 and 2. Now you're reduced to 2 stitches, which may be a problem because that will change your stitch count. But as you knit the first stitch, you're doing a yarn over and then knitting the next stitch. So you're back to 3 stitches, just like magic. So at the end of the round, your stitch count will not have changed. It's just in the in-between section if you were to count. And once again, we're going to take the 3rd stitch, like a backwards cast off, over stitch number 1 and 2. Now you're reduced to 2 stitches. Knit the first stitch as normal. Remember to yarn over the needle, so the yarn is at the back of the work in knit position, and then knit the next stitch. And that creates the lace center of this faux cable. When it's blocked, it will really show up. It has a very botanical look to it, and it is a nice border in between the wider lace pattern. So if you haven't tried the knot stitch, there's a demo so you don't feel overwhelmed by the directions on the chart or going to the YouTube link. And now for number 2, WILLA. WILLA, oh yes, WILLA and STROMBOLI markers definitely are your best friend. You can see that I'm living on the edge because I only put a marker in for the beginning of my rounds and the halfway point. But you really should have markers in for every pattern repeat, at least until you get comfortable with it, and then it's memorized. I'm at the point where I've memorized the pattern, so I just find the markers get in my way. WILLA, also you should have markers in for every pattern repeat of this lace yoke section. This is called the crest of the wave pattern, and it's bordered by garter stitch at the top and the bottom. It's a simple yarn over, slip stitch, or slip knit, pass over, and knit 2 together on one side. And you can always tell if you're going off track because there is a center line in the middle of that lace section. So it's a center, I think of it as a stem of a flower or a trunk of a tree. And that will keep you balanced with your stitch count. And all the increases are worked before the lace and after the lace. So you're going to have a few increased rounds, and they're all worked as a make one left stitch. So that's easier to remember than when to do make one right, when to do make one left. And the third design, Parasol T, this one is a very, very simple, what we call broken rib stitch. And it's very easy to keep track of the pattern. It's just a 2-row or 2-round repeat. I went to a 3.75 millimeter, even though the pattern called for a 3.5. That just helped me to get the gauge and make sure that the cotton didn't knit up too stiffly. This is worked in the third size in the pattern. It's called small number 1. So you can see it's very inclusive sizing. It goes very, very small to extra, extra, extra large. I also shortened the body by 1.5 inches. I'm not really sure why I did that. Maybe I just wanted to get to the colorful border a little bit quicker. And I did an Icelandic bind off here and here. So I will post a link to that type of bind off, which is great to use on an edging which is not a structured ribbing. So you can do it on WILLA, you can do it on Parasol T if you like, and then you could probably do it on Stromboli around the ribbed collar, which is added after. So yes, I need your opinion. The designer calls for the main color to be used for the I-cord edging, which is put on around the neck, but I'm not sure. That's why I haven't completed it. Should I do the gray or the coral or the teal? So please mention in the comments what color you think I should finish it off with. The gray just seems very ordinary, but then I don't want it to distract from the color blocks on the shoulders. And so that brings us to our trivia question. So each week we do a little trivia question. You can post your reply in the comments. And one of the comments will be picked as an incentive ballot to go to our grand prize draw. This is the ballot box, which is filling up. And last week's winner was Tina M. And the correct answer to the trivia question was Italy. So I'm just going to read a little paragraph from Heidi K, the designer of Parasol T, which leads into the trivia question. And she was very kind to answer my question. I asked her where she drew the inspiration from for this particular project. So this is what she replied to me yesterday. This t-shirt is designed to be a framework for playing with colors, and thoughts of parasols, beach towels, and 1970s style t-shirts were in mind when I created it. I used an all-over broken rib since it works well in plant-based fibers, such as linen, cotton, rayon, and silk blends. It also means that the edges won't roll, even without a structured ribbing. The round neck and slightly dropped shoulders make it breezy and easy to wear. So the trivia question this week is, where or when were the original parasols first used? So if you want to leave a guess in the comments below, and we'll leave that open till Sunday morning, which is Easter Sunday, and then we'll pick another winner for the incentive ballot for this week. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope the Easter Bunny is good to you this weekend, and I hope the sun is shining wherever you are. The sun is out here now in Muskoka, and it's really warming up nicely, but I don't think that will last for the weekend. And I will be back next Friday with progress on Stromboli and possibly adding to the whole collection here of knitted summer tees. Have a great weekend.